colleagues and friends. I'm Carol Richards, and welcome to Teacher Talk, Episode 5. Again, today we are joined by Robin Stavely, our music teacher educator, who's sharing her research findings with us. Now, last time, if you joined us, you may remember that Robin talked about movement and its impact on the brain in learning. Today, Robin will explain the importance of using tools in the music classroom. So Robin, welcome, and could you please explain to us what kind of tools are you talking about?
Okay, well, first of all, tools are things that you use that make you more skillful. Tools give you greater capacities in whatever you're doing. So for example, a hammer will mean that you're able to hammer in a nail. You'll be able to drive a nail into wood more easily. So it will make you more skillful at joining pieces of wood together. It's the same with music. When we use tools, it allows us to be more skillful in being musical. So when we think of musical tools, we often think of things like musical instruments, and we think of things that we can play. But that's not the only thing that we can use. They do make us more skillful, because when you use musical instruments, it gives you another way of expressing your musicality skillfully. But you can also use other things. So say, for example, you're using material that will allow you to, for example, express dynamics in music, or it might allow you to express structure of music by waving your piece of material through the air. And then you can also see it. So it's visual as well as using it through movement. So tools allow us to have a greater capacity for being skillful in music.
All right, well, perhaps we should have a look at a video, and then we'll have a clearer idea, if we don't already, of what you mean. And before we see the video, I'd like to thank Jim Starr in Shanghai and the teacher Luke Sheehan for allowing us to share this video.
So when you look at the video, I want you to think about three things. So first of all, watch it and think, what did the children learn through holding the instruments? Secondly, how did they know what to do with the instruments? And thirdly, what musical things or concepts did they learn through what they were doing with the tool, the musical instrument?
And on your shoulders.
So what did the children learn through using those instruments? One of the things that research is showing now is that children are losing the ability to have good numeracy skills when they start school, because they haven't handled objects that give them all a deep understanding about weight, height, width, balance, equilibrium with these things. So when you hold an instrument, you're learning all about all the capacities of that sound source. You learn how much energy that you put into the sound source to make a big sound, a small sound, all the possibilities of the sound, and that feeds into your body and gives you that deep feeling. And then when you hear that sound, your body and your brain together make the memory and understand so much more about the sound and its effect. So that was what we were learning. And as a side part of that, you're also, when you're handling a tool, get those fine motor skills and gross motor skills that allow you to be much more skillful. So that was the answer to the first question. The second question was, how did they know what to do? They weren't given lots of instructions, and that's really important. They knew because they were watching the teacher. The teacher's body is really important. So he didn't have to waste the airspace with instructions and words. All he had to do was do it. The children copied in the same moment with the music. So that was how they knew what to do with the instruments. And the third question was, what musical things did they learn? What musical concepts did they learn through doing with the tool? Well, first of all, I think you probably all will have got that they learned to acknowledge the beat. And they learned that through feeling it themselves, but also they could see the model in their teacher all the time. And they used the tool, so it gave them another way of expressing feeling the beat. They also learned timbre or tone color because of all of the different ways they were using those instruments. They were rubbing them together, they were hitting them together, they were exploring all the sounds on the top, the bottom, the side. So they were understanding all about all the possibilities of how to make and express those tone colors through using that tool. They also learnt it, and this is the really important part, in an authentic context. He put the music on. When you have the authentic context, the music, they understand how these things fit together that they can do and how they fit with the music, and in the end, how they are the music. So putting an authentic context allows their brains to make sense in that quite complex context. Our brains are designed to make sense of a complex world. We pick things out of that complex world when we've learnt something very special. They learnt to use a tool and pick that out of that complex world and make sense of it.
I think we can see very clearly how that works with the very young children, but what about older children and tools? What about secondary students, for example? What sorts of things can they do to enhance their learning with a tool?
We often forget about secondary students. We think that they've already got all the skills. It's never the wrong time to have tools in your hand, because you'll always learn something new in a new context, or with other people around you, or with using your voice, which is also a tool, and your body, for body percussion, that's also a tool. And it's just as important for secondary students as it is anyone else. And in fact, they're engaging with the repertoire when they've got a tool in their hand. So it's important for everyone to use tools all the time. So the other thing about using tools is that allows you to put or offload your thinking into the tool. Because when you're using the tool, more things occur to you that would not occur to you had you not had the tool in your hand. So Carol and I are going to give you an example of how our thinking is going to be extended into the tool, and this is called extended cognition. So we're going to do a question and answer activity. So as you know, with question and answer, if someone asks you a question, the other person gives an answer that is related to the question, but it's not the same. So if I said, "What's for breakfast?" you wouldn't say back, "What's for breakfast?" You'd say, probably, "Carol, what did you have for breakfast?" Yes. So it's going to be related, and we can do the same thing. We're going to be now using our musical tool because it gives us greater capacities for being musical, or another capacity for being musical, and we're going to extend our thinking into using it. And this is very quick, it's very complex, but we can do it because we're using this tool that that has become part of our body. So question and answer.
Thank you.
So that's an example of in the moment processing that information about skillfully using the tool to be musical and having a tool to do that question and answer activity through.
It's really important that we understand the terminology and tools and how they help with our learning in the classroom. And I want to thank Robin for coming back and sharing her findings from her research with us. And I would like to thank you for joining us for Teacher Talk.